STIs are more common in individuals in their 20s. Having a lifestyle where you're including movement and exercise is imperative to your overall wellness as a woman. Sexually transmitted infections left untreated can be detrimental. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Dr. Yenny and I'm so excited that you stumbled upon this space. If you're also new here, I want you to know that prolific moments are fruitful conversations for the modern day woman of faith. So if you would take a minute to subscribe to this channel, that would be awesome. We are trying to grow the channel and increase the awareness that we exist. So would really love if you're doing that. We are also uploading weekly, so go ahead and that notification button so that you can get notified when we drop our next video. So before we get started, I just have to let you guys know that Prolific Collective, which is essentially the not-for-profit ministry arm of Prolific Co., is having its first event in January of 2025. Like, I'm so excited, y'all. We have been in prayer. And when I mean we, as in my team, we have been in prayer and we have just been in planning mode. I cannot believe the summit rather is 4 months to go. It's crazy. God is so good. Anyway, if you are in Texas, especially, or in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you are looking for a way to start off your 2025, there's going to be sisterhood, worship, prayer, amazing informative sessions with incredible doctors who are coming from near and afar to be with us that day. There's going to be food as well. Lunch will be provided, music. It's just going to be an incredible summit. So make sure that you snag your tickets. Tickets are still on early bird status right now before prices do increase. And I look forward to hosting you guys then. All right, let's get into today's video. So let's talk fertility in your 20s. A lot of times whenever we're talking about fertility issues, you're basically not thinking about individuals in your 20s. Most fertility related conversations are typically garnered towards those of advanced maternal age, folks that are 35 and older. And I was thinking about, what would I have told myself at 22, 24, or even 25? What would I want to know differently? If you don't know my story, I struggled with fertility challenges. And I will say that there were some things in my 20s that I didn't get right. Not saying that they were the cause of my fertility challenges, but it would have helped if there were certain things that I adjusted. And I've been having some great conversations with a lot of mentees and friends, and just thinking about how we could potentially have done things differently, and things that I've been talking to, especially mentees, about things that they are doing differently because of these conversations. So I'm going to share with you 5 ways that you can start to improve your fertility chances in your 20s. So number 1, track your menstrual cycle. I know this one seems very, very obvious, but you'd be so surprised how so many people do not track their menstrual cycle. Using apps like the Flow app as well as Clue are often great ways and great tools to be able to track your cycles. By tracking your cycles, you'll learn very quickly if you have irregular cycles. Cycles really should be anywhere between 24 to 36 days every month, and you shouldn't be bleeding more than 3 to 7 days at a time. And so tracking your cycles can be very helpful to detect irregularity. Also tracking things like when you or how much you bleed, how heavily you bleed, and if there's changes in your blood, that can also tell you about underlying infections or if you even have some iron deficiency. Another thing that a lot of people miss, especially brown and Black women, is also noting how much you clot. Having your cycles tracked and having them on your phone can be an easy way for you to be able to have that conversation with your OBGYN during your yearly checkups, especially if you're having heavy bleeding or a lot of clotting. It can be helpful. Number 2 is maintaining a healthy weight through exercise. This is something that I cannot overstate. Having a lifestyle where you're including movement and exercise is imperative to your overall wellness as a woman, especially when we're talking about reproductive health. It is never too early to start a routine of making sure that you're maintaining a healthy weight through exercise and, of course, clean eating. But more particularly, I feel like in the Western world, we are so sedentary. Oh my gosh. And it's either you're really sedentary and you bed rot a lot and you don't move, or you're doing a crazy fitness challenge. But what I'm asking you to do is to consider something right in between. Consider just making a goal to move in some capacity every day for 30 minutes. Just keep it simple, whether that's taking a walk or stretching or signing up for an exercise class or being able to start something new like an exercise challenge to get things started, move every day for 30 minutes. You will see how much this makes a change. And a lot of research is tied around even walking up to 10 steps a day can really help your overall cardiovascular health. It is never too early to start. Our reproductive system does really well when we're engaging in exercise on a daily basis, and it helps to also manage visceral fat and the weight that you can gain in your abdomen, which is connected to irregularity when it comes to hormone health. Number 3 is to stop smoking or avoid alcohol. This one's a hard one, especially when you're in your 20s. I think it's very common for us, even as women of faith, to dabble into a lot of alcohol drinking, social drinking. And I do think that there's a lot that we need to consider around that. Smoking is just terrible for you. And we've known this for years, but especially when it comes to reproductive health, even things like hookah, vaping, these are all things that have been linked to being able to decrease your fertility chances as you age. Alcohol, especially mixed drinks, hard liquors, brown liquors, can be detrimental to your overall reproductive health. So start making cleaner choices. And sometimes you can just consider being sober. And there are a lot of, I'm loving this whole new wave of like the sober or mocktail wave that's going on. And I think that you can benefit from considering mocktails instead of your typical cocktail or wine. Number 4 is to check for sexually transmitted infections. So interestingly enough, the research links that STIs are more common in individuals in their 20s. And that's just because people are engaging in more sexual acts without a lot of monogamy at this time, and you can never be too safe. I never want to overstate how important it is for you to get wellness checkups on a more consistent basis. But if you are or have had sexual partners in the past and you're unsure of whether or not they had sexually transmitted infections, even if it's just one, even if it's just participating in oral sex, I cannot overstate the importance in making sure that you're checking in and doing your labs to make sure that you don't have any underlying sexually transmitted infections. Sexually transmitted infections left untreated can be detrimental. They can actually cause widespread pelvic inflammation, and pelvic inflammatory syndrome is really challenging to treat. It can cause adhesions where your organs can be very difficult and immobile and lose blood supply, and it can be a really big challenge to manage if left untreated for years, which unfortunately a lot of people don't even know they have sexually transmitted infections that led to pelvic infections until they're trying to conceive. And number 5, this is a great time, a really no pressure time, especially when you're not in a serious relationship or you're not dating seriously yet, to consider going ahead and getting a reproductive checkup and getting some genetic testing to make sure that everything's checking off. I can't tell you how many individuals don't actually consider getting their estrogen, the progesterone tested, getting an ultrasound to see how things look in their ovaries and their uterus, or even considering getting some genetic testing to know your phenotype. If you're AA or AS, especially for African American, sickle cell is a very common trait amongst African Americans. This is an excellent time to get that done so that you can walk into any relationship and any marriage or any situation knowing exactly what's going on. So if you found this video very helpful, I'd love for you to share this with a friend. Let's get as many people as possible to check out this video. I believe it is never too early to start to do the work to make sure that you can improve your fertility outcomes even in your 20s. Thanks guys, and I'll see you next week for the next video.